So, if I recall, today we're going to make our push for 2900. It's not, I don't think, realistic that we get it today, but we're on our way, so we're already wasting time. So, this is puzzle one for the day. I think it's pretty clear that we're trying to checkmate the king. There are a couple of things happening. I see that black is one turn from queening. Black is attacking my rook as well. And some of these squares are guarded by black's queen. So, seeing that there's so much opportunity for black to counterattack, I imagine the first move that we play should be some form of check. The checks that I see are, of course, there's rook g1, after which there's at least king h3. There's also this move queen g1, which could be a bit harder to see at first. Slightly different, there is a queen block now, which we'd have to take into account. And that might just kind of rule this one out right away, since I don't see how we follow up after. There's no more check that white has after queen blocks, and if we take, then I think we don't have enough firepower to checkmate. So queen g1's kind of off the table. So let's go with the obvious move. Let's just see what happens. After rook to g1, well, clearly if queen blocks now, we just take with our queen and that's checkmate. And I don't think that blocking with the bishop really changes much. At the very least, we'd have queen takes, and then, if king here, probably we'd have at least bishop check. If pawn comes up, we'd have some sort of mate here at the really the point though was that if the queen takes, then there's mate on g3. So after here, it really seems like the only move for black is to play king h3. And so this is where we have to solve the crux of the problem, because I don't see exactly what the follow-up is. Because it seems like this square is covered by black's bishop. This square is covered by black's queen. This one also by the bishop. And there's no other obvious check. I did overlook this check. Would that change anything? Potentially. Well, first of all, if queen check here, king can't come here anymore. So we either have bishop block or king steps to g3. Queen check, king g3, queen to h2. If king steps back up, we have a mate. If king steps to f3, I think we have a mate on g2. So after here, it seems like we really do have to block. And then I guess we give check. If the king were to step to h3 at that point, we would take this bishop and we're going to mate there. I think queen blocks isn't going to be good enough either. Because if we can win the queen, and then we'll win the bishop as well, I imagine. When we win the bishop, we'll guard the queening square. So here, check, king h3. No, sorry, not king h3. Oh, well, in that case, hang on. If the king has to move, we lose the bishop, so let's just double check this line then, because I think this would be the answer. After queen blocks, I don't think we have an option but to take. King takes. Then I think we have queen check back. King has to step back to protect the bishop. We have queen check. And king h3. I'm not seeing how we're winning the bishop. So again, that calculation is queen e2, check. We determined that you have to block with the bishop. The only other check we have at that point is rook g1, and we determined that, well, actually we didn't really consider this move, to be fair. But if you go here, at the very least there's queen f2. And I think black is in trouble. Because if you come here, we take the bishop. So after here, here, we determine that we have to play queen g3. At which point, we can't take the bishop because the king can take. If we take the queen and king takes, then probably we have to do something with this bishop. I don't think it's good enough for the queen to work alone. So let's say we give bishop check. Then if king were to step up, then we can play queen g3. I think that's good enough. So check takes. Really? That's such a shame. So what is the move here? If we give check, I thought there would just be king here. And then check and king h3. So why is this not good? Oh, there's just king g4. And I guess this isn't good enough, because we can block. Ugh. So what do we do? Queen f2. Am I missing something very simple here? Oh man. I missed the move king f2. That's a shame. Very easy move to overlook. I think I might have found it if I'd realized that I was being that I wasn't quite seeing this properly. I got a little overexcited. For some reason, I thought I was wrangling the king. So we have some ground to make up now. So immediately here, we have a couple themes. The first theme I see is that, so if we were just to take the knight, white could take our knight and remain guarding the queen. And if we were just to take the knight with the pawn, it's the same deal. Plus then the rook would attack our bishop. A move I see is queen c5, and the idea is that if the queens were to trade, well, we take with check, because there's no f-pawn, and white has to just move the king or give up the pawn, and then we can take this knight. We're no longer pinned, and because the queen and bishop aren't a battery anymore, we're not losing a piece in return. But if white were just to move and we were to trade queens, then we would still win the knight. So this just looks like the right move. Okay, so we lost 4 and we gained 5. Alright, so now we're net positive. Yeah, that one was a bit lower rated. So here, okay, so obviously black is close to queening. Black's king is a little almost ensnared. Almost, but not quite. So we could give a check, and if king were to come here, there would be a mating net. After pawn here, king here, and rook takes pawn. So this is a pretty forcing first move, meaning here, here, and here. King came to the corner. We would get a check. I want a little better. I don't know. This idea of checkmate is nice, but how exactly do we make progress when black steps back? Is there a better way? Huh. But if we were just to do some slow move, black would just make a queen. And I don't see a follow-up there either. So let's say we give check. I'm trying to find the scenario where black loses something. Like, let's say black steps here. What is white just content to give perpetual check? Black steps there. We step here. Black steps here. We give check again. Black steps here. We have a mate. Maybe the point of this puzzle is just perpetual. It's a bit rare for a puzzle to do that, but I don't see how we actually mate here. So yeah, I guess the only point of this puzzle is that when black is on the back rank, we can't really do anything, but we see that black can't step away from the checks, so we just give check forever. Okay, well, a couple first moves come to mind. Now, the obvious first move is going to be to bring the queen in. And then the other move that seems enticing is maybe pawn to g3. Or maybe even just a slow move, queen d2, which prevents the king from the natural running away. For instance, if we were just to play queen f2, check, only one move, or two moves really, but let's say for argument, the king tries to run away to safety, then we don't have great follow-ups. Let's say we give check and the king runs away. I don't see what we really accomplished there. It's kind of similar for pawn to g3. Let's say the king were to run away. And we were to give check and the king runs away. Okay, maybe we win this pawn. But I imagine we have stronger. So after queen d2, what's our threat? So a good thing to ask yourself is, what if we got to move again? What if we get to make two moves in a row? That's a really good way, a good thought process for finding what your threat is. Well, our immediate threat would be to take this pawn, which seems like it's leading to mate after here and queen h2. So this is actually a very strong move, threatening checkmate in 2. But black, I don't think, can block it like this, because then we might really have... Well, in that case, black would be trying to escape this way. Then we might have g4, and then be threatening queen h2. No longer does black have this escape square. It's now occupied by his own pawn. I imagine, okay, so now queen g2 is seeming like it's the first move, but I do like the idea of solving the whole puzzle before playing it, so we're going to do that. Queen d2, we just ruled out this move. After g4, it seems that since this square is covered especially, after king here, we could just deliver mate. So if black has to give up the queen, then they're losing the game. So after queen d2, does black have any other move? After here, we still play g4. And king comes back. Then we still have queen check. King to g3. Queen check. King takes f3. Are we mating there? Wait, let me check that one more time. Queen d2, king here. Okay, g4 is the natural move. King back. This is slightly different than if black had done nothing, because now we've weakened the f3 pawn. I still want to take this pawn, because if we go give check, black can still escape. So I take this pawn check, king comes to g3. And then what? Then just knight e1, which guards the f3 pawn. And the idea is that even though the knight unprotects this square, when we give mate on h2, it's going to guard that square. I don't see any check for black. Black's king can't move anymore. I think that's the answer. So queen d2, g4, okay. Well, if you're just going to give up the queen, then that's the end of the puzzle. But I did think this knight e1 move was key at the end there. So we've done 4 puzzles. We are still rising, which is nice. So let's do one more puzzle today. Okay, so here, obviously we could take on b2, if we would like. In that event, white can run away with the king. We could give a check, potentially. King would run away again, but if the king ran away again, we would grab the knight. And then solve our unprotected rook. So is that just the solution? I don't see what else you would do. There's no way to really include these pieces. And we can't cut the king off before it comes here. And even if we could, maybe white could block somehow, even if they have to give up a piece. Although here, both pieces would guard the square. I just think it's queen here, king here, check. And then no matter where the king goes, we grab the knight with check. Oh, of course there's this move. Somehow I only considered pieces coming to this square. Alright, so I've kind of ruined the flavor of the puzzle by not solving this position before I started. But we'll have to make do. Can we just go bishop a3? One of the points is that this pawn is pinned, so this is a really serious threat to take. But if the king moves to break that pin, then we take the knight. But if we play bishop a3, we do have to be content to meet rook to b1. But then we would have bishop takes bishop. If queen takes, then we take with check. Although after king takes, we are skewered. My idea was going to be that if here takes, I take the queen with check. And after recapture somehow, then we take the rook. But after here, 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 queen takes. Rook takes, king takes. Are we in huge trouble? Then we take the rook. Rook takes. Looks like material's even. Oh, you know what? This is a blind spot that can happen. After here, I've forgotten that we can now move this rook. After bishop a3, rook g1, bishop takes, queen takes, take, take, check. It'd be very easy to move this rook here with check. Okay, that can happen. You can have blind spots like that. So in that event, I think this is a good move, and this is a good move in takes. Okay, slow and steady progress. We're already halfway from 2850 to 2900, so even if we have some slight dips in the road, I think in general, if we're earning 5 points every time we get one right, we're doing good enough. So I think that's all for today. Hopefully these puzzles were instructive, and we'll keep trying tomorrow.